Hi, everybody. Hope everyone's really well. Welcome. I am Susanna Taylor, and today we're going to talk about being supercharged, how we can achieve peak performance and reach our potential both inside and out. We're living in an incredibly frantic world, and many of us want to look our best and to follow our dreams, but it's becoming increasingly difficult with so much noise. And we don't know who to trust anymore. And we need clarity. And we need to be able to not burn ourselves out when it comes to reaching our full potential. So today, we're going to cut through everything and find some clarity on different ways to maximize ourselves. So we're going to talk about skin with Dr. Aggie. And then we're going to talk to Dr. JENNA MACCIOCHI. And then we're going to talk to Poppy Delbridge. And I'm going to just hand over to them briefly so they can just tell us all a little bit about themselves. So, Dr. Aggie, please tell me what you do.
Hi, my name is Aggie ZATONSKA. I am a founder and medical director of aesthetic clinic in Egham in Surrey, Atelier clinic, where we focus on prevention, regeneration, and regenerative aesthetic treatments.
Brilliant. And Dr. JENNA?
So I'm Dr. JENNA MACCIOCHI. I'm an immunologist, which is a doctor who studies everything about the immune system. And I like to share information on how your immune system is not just for seasonal colds and flus, but it's really your wellness system. And it's your wellness ally across the life course.
Okay. And Poppy?
Hello. Oh, sorry, I'm very loud. My name is Poppy, and I help people to change their mindset, really, and their frequency so they can create what they want, even if they feel like they're about to frazzle out. Yeah. So I work with emotions and energy and tapping.
Brilliant. Okay, so first off, Dr. Aggie. So we're going to talk about our skin to start with. And what we often don't realise is our skin is a reflection of the stress we're under. And considering we're living in such a stressed world, what do you see with regards to stress in your clinic?
I am sure it has been mentioned on this stage today many times before. Skin is the largest organ of our body. This is usually the first organ that will start to display symptoms of chronic stress, other problems. My patients often come to see me with what they perceive as a purely cosmetic problem, issue. And then after a thorough consultation, when we really dig a little bit deeper into the problem, we realize that often this is a manifestation of some sort of imbalance that happens inside our body. Be that chronic stress, lack of sleep, poor nutrition, inflammation in general, and skin is often where we have the first alarm bells starting to ring.
But I guess we can't paper over the cracks. So you are a fan of using much more regenerative treatments and protocols. And so can you just talk a bit more about that, rather than quick fixes?
Quick fixes are not going to help us long term, are not going to improve the skin health. That needs to start with science, with evidence-based strategies. So we start from the get-go looking at the skin analysis, looking in depth at what those symptoms are actually telling us, what is the next problem that's awaiting as well. And then we build a very tailored, bespoke treatment plans to support patients along the way based on what the problem they presenting with to start with. So it's all evidence-based, science-based, and we think all about prevention and rejuvenation rather than quick fixes and camouflage.
So what sort of treatments or products are you recommending in your clinic?
It's a vast variety of, we are very blessed with choice these days. There are many options depending what patients need, where they are in their journey, what their boundaries are as well, where they want to take it and what we would recommend based on what they're presenting with. We as I said, start with skin analysis, and then we can usually start with skincare and basic tidying up what patients are using on a daily basis, because that's very important in terms of consistency. And then we look into energy-based devices as well, things that work and help us in terms of anti-inflammatory injectables, like peptides, like polynucleotides, all the way through to devices.
And what about topical ingredients? Because you're very
Topicals
much
are
about
fundamental, absolutely fundamental. I'm often being asked, how can I support what you do at home? No, this is the other way around. How we can support with devices and treatments what you do at home, what we all do at home, consistently using evidence-based ingredients. So we look into, obviously, as everyone's probably mentioned before me, sun protection, SPFs, just to minimize this damage that's coming from the UV, but also looking into growth factors and peptides. Antioxidants are a huge factor because they neutralize free radicals, so the oxidative stress and therefore inflammation is going to be lowered. We're looking into a new, I'm very happy about the new xanthocumol, which is a new antioxidant that's more potent even than vitamin C.
Sorry, what's it called? Sorry,
xanthocumol. This is a new antioxidant that's coming from hops, and it's very, very potent. So we're looking into all of those new products that will support our skin every day consistently.
Amazing. And you also, in your clinic, you also offer treatments that help to reduce cortisol levels, don't you? As well as improving skin quality, they actually help
reduce inflammation that way, and cortisol. Yes. So we use a device called LPG Endermology for that. They have many lovely protocols, and we can improve things like lymphatic drainage and blood circulation, blood flow, and improve the skin quality. But they have very interesting wellness protocol, which helps to work on the fascia, which helps to reduce the cortisol level, so patients really feel recharged and relaxed and have better quality of sleep.
And that's something that you can use on all over your body?
All over the body. It can be used on the face as well, but the wellness protocol is patients wear those beautiful white bodysuits and have a treatment on the whole body.
Okay. And then you're here today also with Red Touch laser. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Oh, this is fascinating laser. This is a new laser, and the only one in the world at the moment that stimulates collagen directly. So rather than causing some sort of micro trauma or heating the tissue up, we are directly stimulating collagen. So the skin collagen absorbs the laser, and it stimulates it beautifully, but also improves the quality of this collagen. So we get this more youthful, rejuvenated type of collagen, as well as the maintenance and prevention of our own collagen. So the way that eliminates any risk of inflammation, we are actually not causing any downtime, no redness, very little risk of any sort of side effects with this laser. It beautifully sits within this philosophy of taking good care of our skin while not increasing inflammation and potential risk of post-inflammatory pigmentation, for example. So I'm sure many of you have an opportunity to try it today. It comes with no downtime, no discomfort, but beautifully stimulates our own collagen. And we can do it for younger patients as a prejuvenation protocol, and those patients will maintain the level of collagen. We will delay the moment when the collagen drop happens, as long as they're having those treatments. For all the demographics, we would start to do some more collagen stimulating treatment, and then maintain what we've gained from those treatments with this very gentle approach.
So is it a good preventative measure?
Fantastic preventative measure, absolutely, yes.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to Dr. JENNA MACCIOCHI. And JENNA is an incredible immunologist. And so JENNA, amongst other things as well, all-round well-being guru. So we are completely overwhelmed these days, I think, with podcasts about well-being, with information, with products we should be taking, like should we be journaling, should we be cold plunging, should we be saunaing, should we be acting everything? And we're almost burning ourselves out with how much wellness everyone wants us to fit into our lives. So, but how do we know what we should be doing? How should we tap into our own knowledge in a way? Because we can't be taking on all this advice. It's too much for us.
Yeah, it's a really good place to start.
Yeah.
And I see this all the time. I think we really live in the age of information. So everyone sitting here today, you can probably take your mobile phone out and it will give you more information in a few seconds than I can give you in a few hours. Whether or not you trust that and can apply it to yourself is another conversation. But we consume so much content now. And actually, I don't think we need more information. I think we need more agency and we need to be able to reconnect with our body's own intelligence. So, you know, humans have survived on the planet for a very, very long time because of our ability to have an amazing, ability to regenerate, to heal, repair, because we have intuition. And I think we've consumed more information. It's taken us further away from our own inner intelligence. And that's why I speak to people all the time and they open their cupboards and they've got 200 different supplements and they don't know if any of them work and they don't know what they're doing, but they're buying another one. And I think we need to come really back to basics. And if we're trying to make a change, whether that's we want to improve our diet, we know we should be exercising more or getting up from our desk more, whatever that is, but we keep failing at that change. Perhaps because we don't have a sense of safety in our nervous system. And I don't mean safety in terms of danger, I mean safety in terms of capacity. So whenever you try and do something different, your body's like, oh, that's unknown. I'm in my little lack of safety state. My nervous system can't take the capacity to change. And so we get frustrated at ourselves.
And you're very interested in a new area called, I'm going to have to look what it's called, psychoneuroimmunology.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah.
I'm believing it's tapping into our emotions in some...
Yeah, it's probably got a lot of resonance with your work, Poppy. So the immune system is everywhere in your body, and your nervous system is everywhere in your body too. And those two systems work together to keep you safe. And we kind of think of mind and body as separate. We think of things that are stresses in our head, but illness is in our body, but they're the same. And to me, psychoneuroimmunology is a subset of immunology, whereby it's understanding that the brain, the nervous system, our psyche, our feelings, our thoughts, emotions very much dictate our physical sensations and vice versa. And it helps explain why so many people might go to their GP, their doctor, they have all the tests, everything's normal, but they don't feel normal. And they sort of go away with that, it's all in my head, and sort of gaslight themselves. But actually, we're starting to stitch that back together now.
So how do you think all the levels of stress and everything that we have coming at us in this modern age, how is it affecting us? Is it making us ill?
I think, we forget that stress is very physical. So, for example, if I was about to step off this stage and this was a road and there's a bus coming and I don't see the bus and it's about to hit me, what would happen in that moment? I see the bus, I'm about to be hit. My stress system is going to engage to keep me safe. Brilliant, I need that. Stress is being helpful. But suddenly, my body's pouring glucose into my bloodstream to give me energy. My large muscles in my legs, my stabilizing muscles in my feet and my core, they're bracing so that I can get to safety. But what happens if I go to my desk and I'm bracing because my boss might send me an email that's stressful? I'm bracing my core all day, and then I try and go to the gym, but I can't exercise properly because I've been using all those muscles at this low-key level. without realizing it. And so I'm like, oh, I can't even exercise. And then we get in a negative cycle. And it's so, so physical when you start to think about the origins of the stress response and how it is there just to keep us safe so we can run away, so we can motivate ourselves. And so, of course, it's physical because it's making all your blood pressure change and things like that. But it can also drive inflammation, which is our immune system's tool to keep us well. And inflammation, again, really helpful if you have a cut or an injury. But if the nervous system's always bracing for stress, then your immune system's always bracing for inflammation. And that is maladaptive. So it's going to exaggerate symptoms. It's going to be why you have more aches and pains, why you can't shake the cold or flu, why you're in a viral spiral for the whole of winter. And no amount of supplements or anything is going to get you out of that. So we have to kind of almost go upstream. And sometimes I think we bypass that to buy the things to fix us, because the adverts say it's going to fix us and we feel broken. But actually, we need to sort of go deeper and be like, these are signs of a natural response to this unnatural world. What can I do upstream of that?
So what would you suggest in this unnatural world? What are we doing wrong? Because we're getting burnt out the whole time. So what should we be doing?
I think
or what should we not be doing?
I've definitely been burnt out myself more times than I'd like to admit. But I've also had moments in my life where I've worked insane hours on things that I'm really passionate about and I've not got burnt out. And I think there's a clue in that. When we're very aligned, you know, I could eat the same diet, I'm taking in the same energy, but my body's going to deploy it in different ways depending on how aligned I feel. So if I'm in my stress response, I'm in conservation. My world is narrow. Keep me safe, keep me small. I'm not creative. I'm not going to want to go do extra fun things with friends. It's like survival. We have two biological states. Catabolic, which is like breaking down, and anabolic, which is building up. And it's just physiology. And so that taps on to how we feel about our daily life. Sometimes we need more grounding practices. We need to take our shoes off. We need to feel the floor beneath our feet. And all that nervous system information is going up to the brain. So a lot of this is body to brain. And again, we need to realize when we're bracing our core, we need to reconnect with how our body feels. And I think sometimes we can only do that in stillness. So we put the phone away, we sit in stillness, and then you're like, oh God, monkey mind. And you become aware of like how hard it is to do that. But we have this interoception, we call it, so information from our body to our brain, but we get static in the system and we can't feel it, and we sort of end up all in our heads. So anything that gets you into your body, and sometimes that can be something really intense, like a really intense workout can really get you out of your head into your body. So I think we need a variety of tools in our toolbox, and we need to keep sprinkling them in, and we'll slowly find out the ones for us. So for me, I've had periods where I was very much in my freeze response. So not fight or flight, freeze. And to heal that, I actually ended up doing martial arts because it forced me to use my fight response. And I'd sort of unengaged with that for various reasons. And so we always think about balancing our nervous system, but we need it to be responsive. We need to fight when we need to fight, flight when we need to flight. Like it shouldn't just be one balanced state. It should respond, come back to baseline, and have a healthy baseline.
So do you think that we're just doing too much? Do you think we need to streamline our wellness? Because
yes.
I personally think that we're all doing too much, and we need to stop and listen to ourselves and create space so that we can actually hear ourselves. Because I think in all the noise, we carry on going, we go busier and busier and busier. If I do more, then I'm going to be more well and better and everything. And actually, I feel like today, we need to start doing less.
100%. I think we have an epidemic of avoidance. Like, the busyness is avoiding the stuff, really. And totally guilty of that myself. But I am also a breathwork and meditation teacher, which is kind of quite different to the sort of science and medical side. But I think they just need to merge together beautifully. Because I couldn't meditate until I couldn't not. The stillness I don't know what the alternative was. And I think that we need to start to really embody those practices, the ability to be still and regain a bit of self-understanding, but also agency and self-trust, and trust our bodies, and trust that if we give them the right inputs, they'll know what to do. And trust the patterns, like how is your energy? What are the drains? What are the things you hate that make everything else seem quite dark, you know, and be a bit more guarded with our time and our energy.
Amazing. Thank you, Jenna. Okay, we're going to move on to Poppy. So, Poppy, stress and overwhelm is at an all-time high, and we're overloaded in every possible way. So, I was talking to you the other day, and you were saying some very interesting things about how in today's society, we are not reaching our full potential because we get burnt out very easily. So we don't reach our dreams, and we don't bother. And I think that's really interesting. But you're helping people to expand themselves in another way. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
Yes. And by the way, love all of that, Jenna. We need to hang out more. Yeah. So where do I start with this one? So I've written a new book, which is really all about that topic.
Yes. The book is called Unlock Your Power.
Thank you, it is. Yeah. Pre-order and leaflets are around. Yeah, it's out in the spring. And I suppose my first book was mainly about emotions and how we handle those, and energy and tapping, rapid tapping in particular, and how we can work with our mood. This book is really addressing the kind of human element that's much bigger than that, which is that we tend to have this idea at the moment that we're all stuck. You know, like every single person I work mainly with really high level, high performance people, I suppose, people in the public eye, people doing really, really hectic jobs. And almost everyone that I work with is totally at capacity. And I'm calling it a limit, but it's an inner limit. And what I have been obsessed with for the past year is how we can start to work with the fact that we're not stuck, we're just stuck in patterns within ourselves. And most of those are just by repetition. And after a while, we forget to dream, we forget to desire. We don't really look out for anything else because it's too busy, it's too noisy, and it's too stressful. So when we're stuck in that nervous system lock point almost, I'm seeing people not go for their dreams. And it's difficult because actually when you actually start to work with the patterns, quite quickly you can change those patterns. You can change those patterns in two big ways. So the first one is really what we're talking about today, all of us, which is stress, nervous system health. Like, it's so important to regulate every day, time and time again, soothe. But it's not just about being calm. It's actually, I think, about being alive. We're losing aliveness. And that can make us lose meaning. And when we lose meaning, especially in a world of AI, you lose that kind of soul part of us. And I do a lot with sort of spiritual patterns as well. And so our energy flow is getting really, really narrow and decreased. And we're using that same perception level to make all our choices. And so it's an interesting one. The second one is that we can change these patterns quite quickly with the brain, neuroplasticity, how our brain is able to remodel itself at any age. But it really needs repetition. And that's why I use a lot of words and tapping and what we say to ourselves and other people. But also, it needs vivid emotion, intensity. So often, we're not thinking about how we can create things with that inbuilt ability to emote. Really exciting stuff, because if you put together something like a desire of your heart and you repeat that like it's done with an emotion, and you start to regulate yourself with things like tapping or whatever floats your boat, then you're becoming coherent again. You're becoming coherent. Your mind, your body, your soul are on the same hymn sheet. And most of the time, we're trying to do everything really, really frazzled, too frazzled. So we've just got to start with regulation first, but not forget our dreams. So my book is actually about how we often go from having an idea like, ooh, that'd be nice, that'd be great, I'd like to go next level, you know, it's January, everyone's like, yeah, let's go for our dreams. But very quickly, we go straight to the how. How do I do that? What's out there?
Or maybe, no, I couldn't do that. You know,
And then
yeah.
it's like, what can I do? And then immediately it's like, oh, maybe not, because we're at the limit. So we work on raising the frequency of ourselves. We work on raising the energy that we have, like the life force within us. And when we do that, things start to open up, doors start to open up. So the book goes through 7 keys that you can use, that I've certainly used time and time again, when you feel like you can't quite go any further. There's too many responsibilities, too much stuff going on, too many choices. And you can actually come within, and that's why it's called Unlock Your Power, because it's already there. It's already within us. And I think it's time to go back in here a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really believe that it's a time amongst all the AI and the digital and the screens. I think it's a real time for feeling into being more human. Yeah. And understanding that this piece of kit is the most amazing piece of kit that ever walked this earth. But you also, so in your book, you also talk about different levels of the mind, and the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the superconscious mind. Now, I haven't heard of that before. I haven't heard of the superconscious. So can you just quickly tell me what are those levels, and what do they do for us?
Of course. Yeah, so the mind is quite a slippery thing to define. So you could call it how frequency, energy, and information travels. The brain, you get it. It's a thing. You know, you can cut it open, you see it. When you get to the mind, it's vast. It really is about us tapping into the superconscious. And the superconscious is really life force, energy. You know, when you go into a room and you're like, I'm here, this is great. Or you go into a room and you feel like, oh, something's off. You know, it's like, ugh. We can tap into that a lot more. That's the superconscious. I'll get to that bit. That's my favorite bit. The other 2 bits, conscious mind. So this is where most of us would make a decision, and it's our working memory, it's how we go through life, but it's a little bit, it's a very, very small part of how we do it. So it's about 5%, really. And below that is really everything we've experienced in life, every single thing we've sponged as a child, all the way up through, that locks us into these patterns. After a while, we think that's us. We think we're stuck with them. We're not. We're just stuck in the same pattern, repeating, so we can change those. So when you want to create a goal, and if I'm working with someone to create a goal, which is mainly what I do, then we go to the subconscious mind, which holds all of our information about who we are. If we don't do that, unfortunately, we start to self-blame. That's when it gets irritating for me, because lots of us think that we're the problem, we're self-sabotaging, we can't change. But actually, I call them invisible mind patterns, because when they're in the subconscious, they really do become invisible. You don't really know they're there, but you think, I'm just not very good at that. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I'm a procrastinator. And you have to question that. So one of the keys in the book is to discover. Find them, spot the pattern, shift the power. This is the new thing I'm going to say a lot. Spot the pattern, shift the power, because you can change the subconscious mind quite quickly. I'm also a hypnotherapist, so there's different techniques that you can use, but the superconscious mind, this is where, if you've ever had that flash of, you mentioned it, Jenna, when you kind of feel like you're in creative flow. My previous role was a head of creative innovation. I worked at Warner Brothers. I was a creative and ran teams. And everyone's exhausted. Nobody wants to come up with ideas. But when you create parameters to tap into superconscious mind, which is creativity, imagination, thinking something could be done for you, visualizing it, then it opens up this extra realm and you're not fighting with yourself anymore.
So therefore, do you think that we need to create more space in our lives in order to sort of tap into this super conscious superpower?
Do you know what? No.
No.
Because I think sometimes we're obsessed with carving out time and we become time managers. We become excellent at functioning and going, I'm going to have that as my wellness time. But the same thoughts are going on under the surface and the same patterns are playing out. So I'm very, very busy. I'm all over the place. And I seem to be productive, I think, because I'm regulating quite a lot. And I'm working to debunk a lot of these inner stories that I repeat. And I spot it and I go, oh, I'm going to change that. And in my book, I talk about how, because it's really hard to do that if you don't know how, and we're not taught this stuff at all. So I think, yes, it's always nice to have more time and space, and we should do that. But I think it's about the quality of the space that we have. So I always liken this to like a bath. If you're in a bubble bath, I'm in a bath probably about 3 times a day. I think I've got a bath obsession. I think I need to tap on that.
Me too.
A day bath.
Me too.
Yeah, if you're in a bath and you're just sat there, it is nice, it's self-care, it's wellness. But if you're repeating things, thinking you're not good enough, if that's going on as a narrative, that's not self-care, that's harming yourself and creating your future.
And it's also very tiring.
Yeah.
Our brains can tire us out, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exhausting being a human being.
Yeah.
It's so exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, we just need a way to not just manage that now. I think we need a way to supersede it. And you can't change beliefs. This is the other interesting thing. You have to overwrite the one that you have.
Okay.
Yeah. So that means you have to pour a lot of helpful information into your system over and over and over again.
Could you liken it a bit to like sort of changing the gear, sort of in a way?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to do life with a little bit of the handbrake on most of the time. And we're just not getting anywhere fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. And one technique that I know you're a fan of, and actually I do as well, is visualization. How do you, when you see your clients, how do you get them to use that?
Well, it's a lot in rapid tapping. So I call this done energy. And I call it that because it's very helpful as a human being to see something and know it as familiar before it's happened. Because most of the time when we rise to do something and then don't, it's because it's not familiar to our system. So there is a psychological threat there. And so to lessen and mitigate that psychological threat, if you imagine something is done, and I mean really specifically imagine yourself as having that business that you want, or having that amazing relationship that you want in detail, and you've regulated your nervous system so you're not doing it from a stressed place, and you do those at the same time, visualization really works. Because you remember when I was saying about neuroplasticity, it needs a vivid emotion to like really hit in. So that is where visualization becomes the way that you can really take your life to the next level. You have to see it, feel it as done.
That sounds a lot about when people talk about manifestation. That's a...
Well, I did write a book on that too.
Oh, yeah, that's that, isn't it?
But I like the science of manifestation. I suppose my stuff is, what's the evidence? How do we work as a human being? Yeah. Because manifestation's not weird. It's actually how we're born to be. Yeah. We are born as creative beings. It's just it's knocked out of us with stress and survival, and we get stuck in these narrow lanes. Yeah. But we are all great, I think, at manifesting if we just tap into it a bit more.
Amazing. And I've heard you talk before about living a high-frequency life. What do you mean by that?
It's relevant here. It's like high-frequency machines. Yeah. High-frequency living, for me, is that we can and should allow ourselves the right to choose joy and to not seek validation from external sources anymore. So if something happens that's bad in your life, lots of my clients go through trauma. I'm a trauma-informed practitioner, and I've gone through lots of trauma. It's holding that and being with that. And I think it's the connection that you have to yourself, other people, and something greater that gives you that high frequency. High frequency is really, I call frequency, your thoughts and your emotions, and sort of how that is in a big pot, and then that becomes the way we are and our energy. But we can raise that quite quickly. And so I'm quite passionate about people knowing that that's available, even if they don't have everything in place, and vice versa. I was personally in a place where I had everything on paper, very young, in my 20s. I had, the six-figure job, I had the husband, I had the child who was not completely awful. Like, I had tick, tick, tick boxes. Judging the BAFTAs, big stuff. However, I was low frequency within myself. So it really doesn't matter now, I think, about finding that success anymore. I think it's about finding our success and power within. So I'm really passionate about people knowing how to do that, because I don't believe we really know how to find that joy anymore. Personally, I mean, not to bring it down a notch, but I do think it's difficult with so much noise and so much stress and so many choices and so many responsibilities to know that that is our birthright.
Yeah. And in a way, I think that we need to cut out the noise that surrounds us, because we're so swamped by, oh, so-and-so on Instagram's doing this and she's doing that and I should have done that. And actually, if we cut out the noise, maybe we wouldn't feel quite so like that.
Yeah, we're already bombarded constantly. Yeah. Ditch is one of my D's in the book.
Yeah.
Ditch. Sounds a bit, but really it's important to release and let go of some of the things that we tolerate, because you actually end up manifesting what you tolerate.
Interesting. And just finally, you're very well known for tapping. Yeah. And how do you use tapping to with your clients to get them to reach their potential in a way?
Yeah. So those two things really. So rapid tapping is my method. It's an app. I run an academy now, train people to take it out into their spaces. I teach people to do it little and often, and it has two real parts to it. So one is nervous system regulation. So using the evidence that works with lowering the fight or flight, freeze, fawn response very quickly. So in trials, tapping has reduced anxiety by 43%, overwhelmed by 60%. And on my app, I tell people to do it very, very in the heat of the moment or whenever they need it. We did a study recently, and 96% of people, after a few minutes, had an increase in mood. After a few minutes.
Wow.
Which is major, because when your mood is better, you make different choices. Yeah. You see yourself in a different way. So I usually say, right, stick with the nervous system, and the second one is the neuroplasticity element. What are we saying out loud? And what are we saying about ourselves? It's usually unkind. It's usually not very nice. And when you get into the habit of acknowledging how you feel and not avoiding that, that's not good, but you can say it out loud and you tap, it kind of dissipates. You're not fighting with yourself. And at that point, you get to affirm something new, like we were saying when you began, like then you start to think about what's possible rather than what's not possible.
And so can you give anyone, people here, any tips on how to tap when they go away today?
Yeah. Anyone tapping here already? Oh, great. Goodie. Yes. So I would say many techniques that you can do. I would probably start with something really simple. We could just do it now. A little move. I would do it with two hands. I'm going to show you. Hang on. So if you do that, yeah, thanks, Jenna. And you just start to breathe. Just start to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. This is called butterfly tap. in rapid tapping, and you only need to do it for a few seconds, and you'll notice that it's bilateral stimulation. So you're working to ignite creativity, and you're working to regulate your nervous system, and it really helps. It really helps just to do it quickly.
And when would you do that if you're like in a stressful situation or something?
Yeah, so
just generally?
you could do it in any situation, but a lot of people would do something like that before they're about to do a meeting. I work with people going on stages. It's important to just get in your space. So I would say do it, well, there's many more. You can find them on the app, but do it when you feel you need it.
Yeah.
That's when to do it.
Okay.
Which is most of the time. Right, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Are there any questions that anyone would like to ask? Any questions? No, I can't see any hands or anything, no. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Susanna.